Welcome. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. I'm Joel Dunn, the president of the Chesapeake Conservancy, and I'm thrilled to be with you tonight. Eve of the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service. It's the 10th anniversary of the establishment of the Captain John Smith National Historic Trail. It's hard to believe I've been working on this for 12 years. Universe, as far as I can see it, the universe conspired for us to be together tonight. I think that it conspired in the same way that it conspired for that rainbow to appear right behind those little girls in that video. My staff actually texted me to tell me about that double rainbow, and they were shocked because it wasn't raining, and it didn't actually rain that day. But I'll tell you what, I wasn't surprised at all. I think it was meant to be. I think it was meant to be because I think it was supposed to spark a fire in you and in me. And last year, I was here and I gave a speech at this same spot about how I believe in the Chesapeake conservation movement, that with the power of technology and the power of community that we can protect our great rivers and our special places. And that this year, we're here to celebrate your passion for the Chesapeake, but to reinforce your belief in our ability to save our wildlife, our heritage, and our culture, and to remind you that you are the key to achieving this worthwhile and just cause. I'm here to propose that you are the Chesapeake, and that together that we are the Chesapeake. Just as the Chesapeake's many rivers and streams contribute to fresh water and estuary, each of you contributes physically, spiritually to this special place. Now, the geography of the Chesapeake weaves together our land and our rivers in a way that makes this ecosystem inseparable from our history and our daily lives. And the landscape shapes our culture and our traditions and defines our communities. What I think is great about that rainbow video, which by the way made my wife cry, she's not here, but so I can say that. But my friend Scott McDaniel made that video, and I think he did a great job. But it's great because it captures the essence of that everybody that lives here and works here is a part of this place, this ecosystem. That we literally have the river's blood, the river's water running through our veins, in our blood. Whether you're male or female, African American, Caucasian, young or old, urban, rural, you are connected to the rivers and the streams near your homes, near your schools, near your churches. To save this place, we must all recognize that we are a part of this ecosystem. We must recognize that we are the Chesapeake. Along with that awesome, awesome connection and enlightenment comes tremendous responsibility. By that I mean personal responsibility to achieve environmental sustainability for current and future generations. So finding a way to meet the needs of the present without compromising the opportunity of future generations. I take that very seriously right now because it has much more meaning for me at the moment. I had a daughter this year. She's 7 months old. She's healthy, she's happy, she's beautiful. And I'll tell you what, my daughter, your niece, your granddaughter, they deserve to have the same opportunities to enjoy the Chesapeake that we've had in life. She deserves to see the clear water, the wild creatures, the orange of a monarch butterfly, the flight of an osprey, the sight of a leaping rockfish. She deserves to see the poetry of a bald eagle dive from Phone's cliffs and catch a white perch in the Rappahannock River, or experience the wildness of the James River here in Jamestown, the epicenter of America's modern history. She deserves to enjoy the beautiful chaos of thousands of snow geese in flight near Blackwater National Wildlife Refuge or the Nanticoke River, or the adventure of shad fishing on the Susquehanna, which is one of the longest rivers on the East Coast. Or she deserves to take an awe-inspiring walk in the Green Cathedral here on the Severn River, or kayak around the shipwrecks on the Potomac River. 407 years ago, Captain Smith explored our great rivers and bay, and he said, "Heaven and earth never framed a more perfect place for man's habitation." Of course, Smith, were to retrace his path back then, he would see a very different bay, a very dramatically changed landscape. Industrial, residential, agricultural pollution have harmed many of our rivers and streams and made them no longer fishable or swimmable. Here in Annapolis, I can't let my dog swim in Spa Creek because he gets sores on his belly. Those are symptoms of a profound watershed-wide ecosystem collapse. Deforestation, rapid conversion of open space, loss of fish and wildlife habitat, dangerously poor water quality, sea level rise. And this comes despite America's longest and most intensely coordinated effort to protect and restore this estuary. We continue to face pretty intense challenges, whether it's a $330 million mega development on the top of the Eagle's Nest on Fones Cliffs, or a 500,000 volt power line on the James, dams on the Susquehanna, residential development on the Severn. Even more frustrating is that few people know what's at stake here, because public access to our rivers and our bay is so limited. My friend Charlie Steck and mentor, he often says that of 12,000 miles of shoreline, only 2% is publicly accessible. This is significant because people cannot love what they have not seen, and they can't. Their passion for the bay won't be there if they're blind to it. So if you accept that we are the Chesapeake, and that future generations will either praise our foresight or curse our ignorance, and you ask, what should we do? I say that we must recognize the urgency of now and stand up for our beliefs and values with all the strength that God can give us, challenge each other on what we can do for the Chesapeake, and therefore what we can do for each other, act, vote, donate, volunteer, commit to achieving a state of harmony between the Chesapeake and people, and learn from our Native American forefathers and friends who consider how decisions today will affect people 7 generations from now. Imagine thinking 140 years into the future. I only could wish that the planners in my hometown of Sudbury, Massachusetts had the foresight to think 7 generations ahead. When I was a child, I watched the forests and the wetlands disappear from around my house. The frogs and salamanders went out, the Luna moths stopped coming, the fireflies stopped blinking. Back then I thought science was the answer, right? So in my 20s, I did some research in the rainforest of Panama, and my forest actually got cut down after I left. So I was like, oh, well, I better go back to school or something. So I went back to school for policy and science. And then I met Pat Noonan. Pat is my hero, my mentor, my friend. He's helped create numerous national parks and national wildlife refuges in the Chesapeake all around this country. His conservation leadership, I think, is on par with Teddy Roosevelt. Pat taught me a lot of things over the past decade. He taught me that to accomplish conservation goals, you need really firm partnerships, great partnerships, that knowledge is power, and that money matters. But perhaps more importantly, Pat taught me that conservation depends on the people living in the Chesapeake Bay. He taught me that we are the Chesapeake. Coming out of graduate school, Pat gave me the opportunity to work with him, Will Baker, Charlie, Ann Swanson, John Griffin, Dan Sakura, Nancy Merrill, many of the people in this room to help establish the John Smith Trail. My job was essentially to convince others that it was a great idea. I never thought I'd be working on a National Historic Trail. I really didn't. As a vehicle for conservation, it never crossed my mind. But the trail really traverses the entire Chesapeake Bay watershed, and it reaches everybody in some way. As part of my job, I put 80,000 miles on my car, and I gave talks at historical societies, garden clubs. I spoke to every mayor and county commissioner I could reach about the beauty of the Chesapeake and our history, its many great rivers, and Smith's adventures on the Chesapeake. I'm proud to say that a few congressional offices told me that they got more letters in support of the John Smith Trail than against the Iraq War, which I really thank for heart. But having met the people of the Chesapeake, I realized that this place is made special by the people who call it home. So, like a rainbow, the people of the Chesapeake are a variety of related and colorful things, geographically, ethnically, culturally, and economically diverse. So John Jarvis and Dan Ash, you are the Chesapeake. Keith Campbell and the Campbell Foundation staff, you are the Chesapeake. Mark Belton, you are the Chesapeake. Teresa Piernow, Will Shafrock, John and Sue Neely, you guys are the Chesapeake. So on the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service and the 10th anniversary of the John Smith Trail, I can honestly argue that the Chesapeake is as beautiful and precious to our nation as the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, or Yosemite. But the future of this place depends on you. I haven't spent a lot of time talking about the Chesapeake Conservancy, and I don't intend to, but I do want to leave you with the impression that we're a nimble, efficient, effective organization, and that everything we do is in partnership with others, whether it's other nonprofits, businesses, or state and federal agencies. We've created a national trail. We've partnered with others to create a national trail, a national monument, a national park. We've expanded national wildlife refuges, and we're working in partnership with others on the first national marine sanctuary in 20 years. We fight for program open space, the Land and Water Conservation Fund, to protect special places along the trail. We've had a hand in protecting thousands of acres in our watershed and creating tens of new access sites through the Chesapeake Bay Gateways partnership with the Park Service. Our Conservation Innovation Center is applying new technology to advance the entire movement. Like Bob Dylan did in 1966 for folk music, we are bringing our movement from acoustic to electric. So, I love that line. So we're only about 5 years old, but I think it's significant that we have 2 directors of major federal agencies, the Secretary of Natural Resources, and an international multi-billion-dollar corporation attending and participating in our 2nd annual awards dinner. Imagine where we'll be in 5 years. I have a lot of people to thank. There's a lot of great sponsors: Neely Financial, Intel, Brown Advisory, Mike and Ann Hankins, Beverage and Diamond, Hogan and Lovells, What's Up Media. This is actually a list in your program of people that helped sponsor tonight's event. I'm very grateful. John and Sue Neely have been acknowledged, but there are others like Kim Botember and Bonnie Duke that contributed a lot to tonight. So I want to conclude my portion of tonight by saying that together with you and all of our partners, we are the Chesapeake. And therefore we must rise to the challenge at hand. We must act, we must vote, we must donate, we must volunteer and commit to saving our great rivers and special places before they disappear forever.